All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. James here with the Neon Gladiator in the garage, and today I'm going to be installing a lockable storage compartment for underneath the back seat of the Gladiator. Now, I purposely didn't order the plastic locking storage compartment with the Gladiator when I ordered it because I figured there would be 100 companies making lockable storage for these things that would be better than what the factory plastic one was. Well, here we are 2 years after I got my Jeep, and finally, somebody made a lockable storage compartment. The guys over at 813 Fabrication finally came out with the lockable storage for the Gladiator. This has blown my mind that there's literally probably 100 different designs for bed racks on the Gladiator, and here we are 2 years later and we're finally getting a lockable storage. But they came through. Jeremy at 813 came up with two different designs. You can get a full molly panel, or I went with one that's got a full flat face and the molly inside. I don't want people to be able to look in and see what's locked under my back seat, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this assembled. I got my buddy Greg here, Jeep and Greg. He's gonna help me out today. He's usually just my hand model, but I'm gonna make him a pretty face on the video today. So, all right, so we're gonna get this thing installed, and then we have a second project that we're gonna do for the next video right away after, so let's get to it.
Is that origami?
What? Origami blow pops? What's next? I can't wait to get our next product and see what we have. Can I take it out?
It's like taped in there, yeah, put up.
It's sort of. It's really pretty paper too. So fancy. Aw, look, it's like a swan. Stop looking at me, swan.
So we're opening up the box and getting everything unpacked. First thing we noticed, they got some nice instructions that are actually in full color, which is key. And I actually like that it is paper. You know, and a lot of these companies give you the online instructions, but it's kind of hard having your phone while you're trying to put things together. So this is nice to have the full color instructions. Kim was excited because they had origami in the box, kind of a cool touch. But we are gonna unpack all this stuff here and start getting this piece together. All right, so we unpackaged all of the hardware, and it's pretty nice because all of the packs are nicely labeled, so you know what's what. These are going to be the locking brackets that lock the seat down, and we've got the actual locking locks here, and then the two pieces of the actual seat. And then there's one additional plate, which I'm not sure what this plate goes for yet, but I'm sure these directions will tell us. Okay, so the first step is to attach the base to the actual sidewall. So right now we've kind of got it set up on its side, and it comes with 11 of these L brackets, and that's which size?
4 millimeter.
So we got the 4 millimeter
10
Allen and a 10 millimeter socket, and we're just snugging these all up. So using the 11 supplied L brackets, so 11 along here, we used there's 22 bolts and nuts without washers, so it's just a bolt coming through, the nut on the inside, and you want to lightly start all of them all the way around, and then once they're all lightly snugged, then you can go back around and tighten them down so that you make sure that you get this lined up nicely for the base to the face. One thing to mention, we did notice on the bottom here, it does have a label. We peeled this off, but it says this side up, so that was easy to tell which side goes up. But the one thing we noticed is there are some bolts, there are some holes along both sides, but you'll notice that there's only 3 on the back side, whereas you have to have enough to line up with the L brackets. So there is an optional divider if you want to divide it up half and half. For now, I'm gonna leave it out. I did not have one before in the stock box, so I'm gonna leave it out, but if I ever wanted to add it in later, it's just a matter of pulling out 4 bolts and then I can mount it and put it back in. So I'm gonna leave that out for now and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so next we are putting the locking mechanisms onto the box. What we already did here on this would be the driver's side, we already mounted the lock through, and basically what you want to make note of is, see this little notch here? They said that needs to be down, so you should see this long ridge pointing up. You'll insert it through from the inside, and there's a couple little spacers that you got to put in there. Then you're gonna use an 8mm socket for the nut, and then the 3mm Allen key on the end. If you want to show that here real quick, Greg, those are the 3mm there. So let me show you on the other side real quick how this goes. So again, this long slot is going to face up like this, but first what I'm going to do is take the 2 bolts, I'm going to feed it through on both sides, and take these little spacers, spacer, and then the lock right through from this way, and try to get the bolts right through, and then we can take the nuts, and get those started here. Simple as that. Then we're going to grab the 3mm Allen. Oops, that's not the 3. Here's the 3mm Allen and the ratchet here, which is the 8, and just snug them down. So basically there's one long piece of trim that is going to go along the entire top of the box, the bin. And then you've got 2 other trim pieces. We were a little confused at first. These 2 are going to be for the locks, actually the seat brackets that are going to go on the seat that'll come down and lock into place here. So Greg is actually I can show you here. Yeah, you can see it on the picture here, and we'll show that in just a couple of minutes. But right now Greg is working the trim piece along the top of the bin. If it gets a little snug, you can always use the rubber mallet like you saw him doing, but it looks like it's actually going on fairly easy here. So okay, so you can see the trim here. So we tried to measure it up, and it looked like it was going to be about a 1/4 inch short on where we were starting and where it was ending, and we actually lucked out and it ended up being about dead even, but it goes all the way around pretty nicely in one piece, and then ends up just a touch short on the corner there, but I don't think that's going to matter, not going to be an issue in any way, shape, or form. So we will move on to the next step. Okay, so the very first step in order for me to be able to install the 813 Fabrication locking storage box for the Gladiator is obviously I have to remove this plastic storage compartment thing that Jeep put in here. Some of you may or may not have this. I know there's also a plastic locking one that came from Jeep as an option. But basically, all you need to remove this is the T40 bit that came with your Jeep toolkit. Just grab this bit and the ratchet if you need to. Otherwise, I do have my little Ryobi screw gun here. This thing's been great. I use it for everything. Undo the 4 screws, bolts, I guess. 2 on each side. This is super quick and easy with the little screw gun. I got these 2 out, and I just got the 2 on the passenger side. And just like that, they're all done. And the storage box is completely loose now. Okay, so moving to the inside, we're about to actually mount the bin in here. You're gonna wanna take these, they look like about 1-inch spacers. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna set them up on top of the threaded holes from the mounts that we actually took out. And basically you just set those on there and then on all 4 spots. And we're gonna take the bin and it's gonna set up on here. And you'll see it lines up with these slotted parts here where we are going to take one of these long bolts and a washer. We're going to feed it through and try to line up the threads. There we go. So I got that one started. Now I'm going to go ahead and move to the next one. And those two are started, and then if you want to hand me the camera, Greg, we'll flip around and let Greg do the other side here. Okay, so we left these bolts loose for now because we are going to need some adjustment once we put the seat bracket in place. So we'll leave those loose for now until we get the proper adjustment to line it up. And for now, we are about to just put the rubber trim pieces around the edge of the actual seat bracket. So we're going to work on that now. While Greg does that, you might notice it says caution pinch point, and I think they purposely made these red so that you would notice it when the seat's up, so you don't lean in and bang your head on it or something like that. So it's kind of a safety precaution to make that red. All right, so Greg got one done, and we'll do the other, and then we can get these mounted up. Next, we need to access the underneath the back seat in order to mount the seat bracket in there. So what it looks like is this has just got a little Velcro down here that kind of unvelcroed pretty easy, and then you could pull out the zipper portion. It's just kind of tucked up in there, and it looks like we should be able to just unzip this back, and then we should be able to have access to where we need to mount the bracket. So I'm just going to unzip this here. You would think it would have a little pull thing on it like a normal zipper, but I don't know, mine's missing on this side. Yeah, this one doesn't have the pull thing on it either. So with both of those undone, I need to just fold this flap over. Okay, so right up under here, there's it's like two C channels kind of. If you can see that in there, that just kind of clip into one another. They're kind of plastic channels. And once you get it unclipped, the whole thing comes out, and that exposes the hole underneath of the seat here. Okay, so you want to grab the bolt with the star washers, and what you're going to do is you're going to slide them through kind of underneath the seat bracket there. There's two holes. Push it through so you can see we've got the two through there. And just to make a note, so you got the double holes here, and then further down you do have some other holes, but you want the highest ones up above these double holes is where those are going to come through. And then the bracket just kind of slides over like that, and then you've got a washer and a nut for each bolt. So there's those. The next part you might have a little hard time with, because you do need to cut your carpet underneath the seat to allow this piece to slide through on the outside of the zipper so that you'll be able to zip this back down. So I'm going to take a razor knife, and hopefully this is enough to kind of notch this at about the same spot. So that wasn't too bad. I was actually able to cut through it pretty easily. And hopefully we can just slide this over and down. Perfect, that was pretty easy. All right, so Greg's gonna go ahead and snug these down now that we got that kind of tucked through the carpet there, using two 10mm, it's got a 10mm wrench and a socket, and just snugging those down in place. Okay, so with that tightened down, basically what we did was we lowered the seat slowly and carefully, and then we're able to adjust the box until the lock went in. So Greg is kind of snugging one of those bolts down right now. so that it'll kind of hold the box in place. And you can see it's pretty tight back there, so that's kind of a good indication of where it needs to be. But yeah, snug that down, Greg, and then if you want, let's try the seat again. Just dropping it down into place, and then go ahead and push the lock in. And you can see it's locked. It's a little loose because we haven't tightened all the bolts down, but that gives us the right indication that we've got it in the right position. So we can go ahead and button up this side. So yeah, so Greg figured out that starting this to clip this back in from one corner to undo it was the easy way, and it seems like that's probably going to be the same thing reconnecting it. This is probably the trickiest part of the whole thing right here. All right, so with this side all done and locked in here, we just got to move to the other side, do the same thing, and then we can officially tighten everything down. Okay, so this C channel down here is really the hardest part of this whole thing, but Greg seems to have it figured out here. So go ahead and show what you're doing there, Greg.
So, see how it's hooked up?
Uh-huh.
Push it down to where, see how the C came out of it?
Okay.
And at that point, you can just kind of
Peel it back.
peel it out. And that falls down, and we can do the zipper over there, and it'll come on. Oh, there's another little section here too.
Okay, a little section of clip. So we're trying not to unzip it fully and undo the second half of the clip on this side because it's the longer portion of the seat, but it may be a little bit more challenging, so it might just be easiest to undo the second clip since Greg has it figured out how to unhook and hook it.
A little stubborn. There we go.
There you go. Okay, so then we can fold the whole seat back, and then that gives us access to these holes for the bolts again.
Here and here.
Yep. And then so taking a star washer and a bolt from the back side, put the nuts on, and then snug these down using the two 10 millimeters. And then we just got to re-slit the carpet again to get the latch through. And then we'll be all set to adjust the bottom fully. I've got it locked here, so I just need to unlock it. And it just took some final adjustment of getting this aligned properly with the lock. The first side was easy. The second side took a little bit more adjustment, probably because we had already aligned that and now we needed to make this work with this one. But Greg, if you want to go ahead and lower that one, let's see if I can kind of show under there. I don't know if and then he pushed it in. So go ahead and give it a tug up. Okay, so you can see it is locked.
Get your fingers, but that's it.
A little bit of a gap there, but yeah, otherwise it's pretty well locked. And then I'll go ahead and close this one down and push the lock in, and same thing on this side, pretty well locked there. A little bit of a gap, but otherwise pretty good. That's gonna wrap up the install of the 813 Fab metal locking storage compartment for underneath the Gladiator. It does give you the MOLLE on the bottom, so I've seen people mount some ARB compressors, things like that in here, and you can actually, you got something to actually mount to on the bottom. And then, yeah, you can lock it down. For me, I mainly want this for locking up a jacket or whatever I'm gonna put in the back here, just something that's gonna be a little more sturdy and gonna keep the honest people honest from being able to just walk up, open the seat and take whatever's under there.
Purse.
Right, a purse, whatever's underneath there. Any of my tools or equipment. So pretty nice design, looks nice. I'm hoping it doesn't rattle much. You can hear as I close that, it's got a little bit of rattle. But actually it seems like once the seat is down, it seems to hold it steady. So I will report back on that after some drive time and checking it out. All right, so that was overall a pretty easy install. Obviously, it's always nice to have an extra set of hands, so big thanks to Jeep and Greg for giving me a hand with this one. I will say the looks and design of it is overall pretty cool, pretty good. I like how they did the seat lock and everything like that. if I could critique anything, the one thing I would like to say or see would be that it would be kind of cool or nice if the locks were black as well as the bolts. It wouldn't matter so much for the nuts because they're on the inside, but it would be cool or nice if the bolts were actually black heads so that it kind of blend in a little more. And same with the locks. It would make the locks a little less obvious if they were black. So otherwise, the fit finish all looks pretty good. I'm again hoping that when I drive it, I don't get any rattling or anything like that. It doesn't seem like once the seat's down and locked that I'm gonna get that. So hopefully that won't be the case. But thanks as always for watching our video. Make sure you check out 813 Fab. I'll kind of put their link in the description here, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.